I'll ask that question again on camera. So how did you first realize that you were starting to become a leader? How did you emerge as a leader?
That's a good question. So leadership takes on many forms. There's leadership with ideas, which means you may not be leading people, and then there's leadership of teams, where you have to take ideas maybe from someone else and lead a team, and so you have to be aligned with the person whose vision, and it could be yours. Today's world, CEOs are known for different things. Some are there to operate people, some are there to deliver the mission and the vision of the chairman, etc. So it's a couple different things. For me, I'm more comfortable in a leadership role, and I use that term loosely, around ideas. And leadership comes from a few things. It comes from good mentorship, good role models, and being an expert in certain things. If you're an expert, the easiest way to become a leader is to just be an expert, and you can start that at any age, whether it's a sport or whether it's a topic or a knowledge base, whether it's learning a language or just being good at something. And that's, they call it the 10,000 hours, but I would call it more like if leaders emerge when they have true confidence in one ability. They don't have to look a certain way, but they can lead through knowledge. So for me, that's finance. When I want to know the most about this subject and be the most open-minded, because it's helped me grow, financially and support my family, etc. So the more I understand about the world that I live in, as narrow as that may sound, that's what I've chosen to do. And because I feel comfortable in that one arena, I can become a leader, meaning other people look to me. And once you're a leader, it becomes easier to do all the other things in life, because there's that many more people behind you just catching up to you because you're setting that example. Same thing with people. People that have, it's a different skill, but people have that skill of leadership, have experience running other people, and that's how to deal with them, that's how to deal with their daily stresses, that's putting up and understanding how to help those people grow. So those are two different types of leadership. My leadership more comes from knowledge base, a little more of a loner aspect of it, and less of a people aspect of
it. Next question.
We could do what you think is the difference between leadership and management, as you were touching on.
Yeah, so with leadership, someone has to be the leader. You hear this thing that cooks spoil the broth. Someone has to set the direction, or a group of people have to set the direction that another group, or the people that are going to carry out and build a vision or execute on a plan, have to do. So it's very important that a company has a visionary. The best companies have somebody who's single purpose, clear, has an edge in somewhat, and has obviously built the confidence of people around them. And that usually comes from someone who's been right, whether right or wrong. It's someone who the markets or a large group of people have said that person has a history of being correct. So that's leadership, and that's where the vision comes from. The management is a completely different thing, and that's what comes into finding skilled people to help push that. It's like broken telephone. The vision can come from the top, but poor management can misinterpret it, can carry out their own sub-messages to get their own things done. So it's very important for the visionary not just to have the vision, but you'll hear this not so much, but in the world that I live in of startups, a lot, recruiting. You have to find people constantly that, so the great leaders are always recruiting and helping find management to carry out those goals. That's the big difference.
Okay. Can you speak a little bit more about the financial things that you get into and your startups and stuff like that?
Yeah, for me, I think we're in this era. We've had a few bubbles. People talk about bubbles, economic bubbles, stock market bubbles. I have the impression that until 2008, bubbles were good. When the railroad started in the 1800s, that created a bubble because everybody was trying to build the same railroad line next to each other. It seemed to have made sense at the time because money was cheap and everybody wanted to own the tracks. And what you ended up with is a lot of tracks and not enough people to ride on them. Okay, but 150 years later, we realize it's a good bubble because those tracks, the tracks that made it, still carry a ton of commerce, and that's where populations set themselves up, and rail's still being thought about today. So that was an area where bringing things closer together, shrinking the world. Okay, in 1999-2000, we had a bandwidth bubble. We had a lot of companies spending a ton of money wiring or laying cable under the ocean I forget the name of the company that's no longer, but there was Quest, there was MCI, WorldCom, there was, all these networks spending our money building the pipes that today we luckily call the internet. And so that was, again, a bubble where everybody was laying the same stuff in the hopes of being the king. There was hopes of, and it was easy to get money on that promise. And that bubble went away, but that bubble in 100 years will be looked at as a necessary bubble. Today, it's a lot different. Now that you've got airlines, you have the internet, you have railroads. Now we have all space travel, we have electric cars with Tesla. Now it's all about it's been a software boom, which is things to connect all these past bubbles. And so, as in every generation, we have different financial vehicles. I'm inspired by the ability to, it was a much harder thing to build yourself out in those pre-bubbles. This bubble is very global, or this boom, I would call this very global. It's software driven, much less capital intensive to get a company going, much easier for a young person to really hone in on what they should be good at. Which is design, development, and learning specific languages. And I'm not meaning Chinese versus Spanish, the language of software, the language of management, the language of carrying teams over the goal line. So in a world of today, what gets me excited is how anybody, a guy like me, for example, in San Diego, can help build businesses that are global in scale. And that's because of the software and it's because of the bubbles that were built ahead of us. I can't foresee the end of this one. Every great cycle ends, but we are very early, and younger people are lucky in a sense to have at their disposal the previous booms and busts before us.
I guess one thing I'm interested in is of all the ventures that you've been a part of, which one was your favorite?
Ooh. I think it's probably ahead of me. I have some ideas around connecting all the things that I'm 48, and my kids are just starting to get to the age where they're, grades are really important. Whether that matters, whether that's a good thing or bad thing, where they have to start picking what they want to do or finding their passion. So I would say the thing that I'm most proud of, the investment is obviously the time playing golf with my son. He made the varsity team. So that was a year of investing both of our time that has paid off greatly because that's a skill and a language that he can take the rest of his life. So I don't know if I've made that perfect investment yet. For money-wise, that's easy, and that's just a straight, what did you invest, how much did you get out? And so for me, those are easier ones, and there's a few, and not as important. I think what's coming ahead, just all the leverage that you can get from all your previous knowledge and investment, and applying them hopefully to the next one. I'm only 48, so hopefully when we're 60, I can look back and go, man, the last 5 years have been incredible, and not necessarily around money, but more around here's what all the people we've, whether it's from Twitter or StockTwits, all the people that we've mentored are now doing all this thing. And teachers feel that way too. They look at their students, the ones that have done well, and so those are their best investments. So I think it's more the people. And so there's not any one particular, and I think the best is probably yet to come.
Can you speak